The Valley sees two epic point battles end. The Super Dirt Series takes on the Alex Friesen Summer Nationals. We take the white flag with a pro stock driver returning to action in 2015.
Want sausage sandwich? It's free.
Don't mind if I do. Thanks, Matt. This is Race Pro Weekly. Hello and welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. We have a lot of final point battles to get to tonight, and we're going to start it off at the high banks of the Lebanon Valley Speedway, where Brett Hearn came in having a 15-point advantage on Kenny Tremont. Always fun when you start off with gentlemen starts your engines before the feature, and for some reason Mark keeps way more excited than the kids. Chad Jezio would get the race started as he would be your outside pole sitter in the 30-lap finale at the Lebanon Valley Speedway for the Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. As Jezio would take the early lead, J.R. Hefner looking to make his way up through the field as Steve Huff and Colby Schroeder run side by side. Hefner would get a little loose coming off at turn number 4, but he would regroup no problem. Kenny Tremont and Brett Hearn looking to run down the back straightaway as, of course, Tremont trying to shave off a 15-point deficit. And you can bet Tremont was on a mission doing whatever he could to make sure he could get that done. Jezio will continue to lead this one here through the first 10 laps of this event as Mike King would run in the number 2 spot. Tremont would then get by Keith Flack, but methodically behind him is Brett Hearn going right to the inside as well, staying one spot behind Tremont. The car on the move was Eddie Marshall, as at about the halfway point, he would go to the inside of Colby Schroeder and take the number 3 spot away, and then go to work on Mike King on the inside as he would take the runner-up spot and start to run down the 25 of Jezio, as the heat would continue to push into his tires. Hefner now on the move as he would go by the 55 of King on the inside lane and take that spot away from him, as well as the caution will come out for debris with just a handful of laps remaining. That's a hefty piece if you ask me. Off of the restart with 3 to go, Eddie Marshall to the inside of Chad Jezio looking to make it happen. Jezio looking to hang on for win number 1 as the white flag would come out. Marshall with a shot at him up into the east end as they bring it off at turn number 2, but Jezio too strong after one last shot, and Chad Jezio will grab his first career win at the Modifieds at the Valley. Eddie Marshall would finish in second, J.R. Hefner third, Kenny Tremont fourth, and Brett Hearn would finish in fifth and grab the 2015 track championship. The final race of the season at the Merrittville Speedway would see the John Spencer Memorial 50-lap event where Chad Brockman was looking to take home the title. Tommy Flanagan and Dennis Giancola, boy I love saying that name, start off the 50-lap Spencer Memorial up at the Merrittville Speedway, as it would be Tommy Flanagan hanging it out on the top side, taking the early race lead. Mr. Small Block Pete Bicknell in the Lucas Oil car number 42 up on the outside, looking to take the number 2 spot away. He would. Scott Wood and Matt Williamson on the way up, along with the 71 of Mike Bowman and CB3. Chad Brockman on the way has some great battles up front, as here's Mark Delario going to the inside of Matt Williamson for the spot. Eric Rudolph going to duck underneath as well. A little bit of beating and banging between the 71 and the 3 cars. Bowman would take that position away for the time being, and boy was Eric Rudolph on the move, as this all happens behind Tommy Flanagan, who gets a sizable advantage in the early going. Meanwhile, Pete Bicknell sitting in the number 2 spot. He's going to see some pressure from Chad Brockman here in just a minute, but Eric Rudolph continuing to work his way up through the field, as now Brockman slides underneath Bicknell for the runner-up position as they drag race down the front straightaway. Rudolph again now with Matt Williamson looking to stay into the top 5, as Bowman trying to get a run on him on the top side as well behind him, as the great racing continues here as we've seen all season at the Merrittville Speedway. Matt Williamson on the outside of Bicknell. He'll take the number 3 spot away as Chad Brockman starts to run down the 37 of Tommy Flanagan as they go by Giancola in slower traffic. Meanwhile, Flanagan out front. Here's Tim Jones getting by Mike Bowman along with the 3 of Machine Gun Billy Dunn looking to take control. Brockman now to the inside of Flanagan for the race lead. He uses the lap car as a pick on the top side, and Brockman would be your new race leader. Williamson ducking to the inside as Rudolph tries to power up on the outside. Bicknell in there as well looking for the spot, but Eric Rudolph on the move but as Brockman would come down to complete lap 40, yellow will come out due to the rain, which would give Brockman the win and the exclamation point on the 2015 season as he would be your champion. Tommy Flanagan would finish in second, Eric Rudolph third, Matt Williamson fourth, and Pete Bicknell would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night, Sportsman will go to Gary Lindbergh, Chris Steele in the open wheel lights, Dave Bailey in the Hoosier stocks, and Mark Bazewin in the four cylinders. As we head into the final points event at the Brewerton Speedway, both HBR team cars of Matt Shepard and Jimmy Phelps were locked tight into a point battle. Which one of them would come out on top? We start you off with some mod light action as Doug Williams begins to go around, and Jeff Isabel going to give him a little help, and Williams didn't like that too much. Bumper car time. There we go. Isabel didn't like it either, as by the left hand coming out of the car. Anyway, green flag out onto the speedway. Jim Wicko would take the early race lead in the modified feature event. Vinny Vitale would look to follow as Jimmy Phelps will be on the move early and often, ringing it out on the top side as he looked to get by Chuck Bauer up into turn number 1 and 2 for the spot. Wicko would hold on to the race lead as now Phelps going to try to split the middle through turn number 3 and 4. And boy, when I tell you that 98H was fast. I mentioned before, him and Matt Shepard locked in a tight point battle as they fight through turn number 3 and 4 this time. He looked to work past Wicko. Wicko keeping it on the inside quite strongly. But boy, that 98H trying to turn it up off the top side, off at turn number 4. Tries to run even with him down the front straightaway. Tries to cut his lane off heading into turn number 1 and 2. But he battles it back and drifts high. Wicko still trying to hold on, but that time Phelps going to dive right in front of him here with just 13 laps to go as he take the race lead back away. Jimmy Phelps down the max straightaway would bring it through, and he would be your feature event winner at the D-shaped Dirt Demon. Larry White would finish in second, Billy Decker third, Jim Wicko fourth, Tom Sears Jr. would finish in fifth, Matt Shepard would finish in eighth, and would pick up the 2015 track championship.
It's now time for this week's Recovery Sports Grill fan poll question. Should local short tracks adopt a winner-take-all type format for the championship like NASCAR does at Homestead? Log on to our Facebook page at facebook.com/RaceProWeekly to cast your answer and let us know what you think. Last week we asked you, now that Super Dirt Week will officially end at the New York State Fairgrounds next month, what is your favorite memory from the event? Bob Gamache said, no doubt Jumpin' Jack Johnson's wins in 1979 and 1984. Pete Ronskin said, every night spent at the Ghetto. Don't really remember them though. Tim Rogers said, the 1990 Last Chance Qualifier, watching C.D. Colville and Toby Tobias head to the front. Charlene Schermerhorn said, meeting my husband-to-be there in 2008. Aww. And Nicholas Philman said, 2007 when I walked to the top of the grandstands for the first time and saw just how big the event was. Super Dirt Week truly is an event like no other. Coming up on Race Pro Weekly, we check in at Albany-Saratoga where the big blocks did their final battle of the season on the Malta Oval, and we head west to Ransomville for the Alex Friesen Summer Nationals. You won't believe the ending. Race Pro Weekly will be right back.
Reputable, reliable, results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered.
If you're like me, your to-do list never ends. But with just one phone call, I protect my home, family, pets, and yard all year round. With Northeast Pest Control's Premier Home Protection Program, I don't have to worry about bugs and pests, and I don't have to worry about harsh chemicals either. Now how about that want to-do list? Thanks, Northeast Pest Control.
Ants, termites, mice, or bees. Call today for your free estimate.
With Northeast Pest Control, we guarantee you'll live pest-free.
There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly as we head to Ransomville for the Super Dirt Car Series event, the Alex Friesen Summer Nationals, where Tim Fuller would take the early race lead in the 100-lap event. Brett Hearn going to run second in the early going as Matt Shepard ducks underneath Pat Ward to take the number 3 spot away as they'll bring it through turn number 3 and 4 for the first time. Cars on the move in the early going would be the 66 of Stuart Friesen, Danny Johnson, Matt Williamson there as well, as Friesen would work his way on the top side, looking to take the number 4 spot away from Matt Shepard as they raced up into turn number 1 and 2. He would grab that spot away and now go to work on Brett Hearn as he's gotten by Ward for the number 2 spot as they come off by turn number 4, and Stuart Friesen on the move would be an understatement. Attrition would start to be a factor in this one, though, as Matt Shepard would have a right rear tire go down as we head to the closing stages, along with Stuart Friesen, who was running second at the time. Keep an eye on that 66 car, though. Pete Bicknell would have trouble with the right rear as well up into turn number 1 and 2, and that allows Friesen, who looks to make a move past Randy Chrysler, to look to get into the top 5 as he would look to make his way up through the field in this one. And Friesen would be on the move, and that may be an understatement as he continued to push his way towards the front. He'd look to get by Billy Decker on the outside lane as Friesen, who's probably made more laps around this track than a number of people, makes his way up into the number 3 spot as the 91 of Decker gets a right rear flat tire as well. Attrition, as I mentioned before, becoming a factor. Now he'd look to make a bid on Pat Ward for the number 2 spot up into turn number 1 and 2. Look to take it away. Ward battles back, but Friesen just too strong. Now he'll go to the outside of Fuller. Fuller looks to block, but Friesen takes it a lane higher. But Fuller doing a great job of impeding his progress. But you know Stuart Friesen, he's going to drive it in that much deeper as he buries it around the outside lane. And with just 4 laps to go, Friesen goes back to the race lead. And he would finish it up by picking up his second Super Dirt Series win in a row at the Alex Friesen Summer Nationals. Stuart Friesen picks up the victory. Timmy Fuller would finish in second, Pat Ward third, Eric Rudolph fourth, and Randy Chrysler would round out the top 5. Heading into the final Friday night of action at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway, Kenny Tremont had clinched the 2015 track championship. However, as the great race place always lives up to, you know it was going to be a good last Friday night. Promoter Lyle DeVore having every car out onto the speedway for a 4 wide for a salute to the 50th anniversary to all the fans at the speedway. Modified feature would get started with Neil Stratton leading the field to the green in the finale for the modifieds at the speedway. Early in the event, Mark Keselowski going to try to drive underneath the 43 of Keith Flack for position as they break it through turn number 3 and 4. Brett Hearn going to do a 17 split off at turn number 2 as he goes to the inside of Robbie Pitcher and the outside of Elmo Reckner for position. Meanwhile, Peter Britton on the move on the outside lane, driving the 21A, and Matty D in there as well as they look to race for position. Meanwhile, Mark Keselowski going to turn it up on the top side. He'd run side-by-side with Reckner as Brett Hearn right there as Keselowski would shoot up the banking a little bit. Then a battle for the lead would ensue as Ronnie Johnson looked to make a bid on the outside. Something would break on the Stratton machine, which would give Johnson the lead. It wouldn't be long until Brett Hearn was bearing down on the top 3, though, as he pushed to the inside of Don Rocca. He grabbed that spot away and set his sights on Matt DePue for the number 2 spot, and it wouldn't take long before he would get there as well. Pair of threes working together as Mark Johnson with small block power going to dive underneath Matt DiLorenzo, where Kenny Tremont would look to follow behind him as Peter Britton would break, which would set the deficit a lot closer. And off the restart, Brett Hearn goes to the inside. Johnson battles back valiantly, but Brett Hearn just too strong as he would pull to the inside and take the race lead away. Kenny Tremont going to work his way up through the field along with Elmo Reckner as they both get by Matt DePue to get into the top 5. Kenny Tremont trying to work under Ronnie Johnson to get to spot number 3, but Johnson just too strong on the outside, all behind Brett Hearn, who picks up win number 10 on the season. Elmo Reckner would come home in second with a couple of great runs to end the year. Ronnie Johnson finishing in third. Your 2015 track champion Kenny Tremont would come home in fourth, and Don Rocca would round out the top 5. Glen Ridge Motorsports Park promoter Pete Demitrazic put some extra money on the line to win last Saturday night, and would one of the best drivers in Montgomery County come in and take it all away. Al McCoy and Jeff Rockefeller on the front row for this feature event up at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park, as it would be the 816 of Rockefeller looking to get in front right away. There's Mark Johnson diving to the low side, looking to take the number 2 spot. He grabbed that, and oh boy, the 1F of Stuart Friesen on the move early, along with Bobby Vetter. goes in there. Caution comes out for the 10 of Jim Nagel. They'd re-rack the field. And off the restart, Craig Hansen got a bonsai to the inside right in front of Bobby Varon as Elmo Reckner and Danny Creedon up on the move as well. Stuart Friesen gets by Mark Johnson for the number 2 spot and now gets onto the back bumper, but here's Johnson trying to battle back, but it wouldn't be long. Friesen on the outside goes to the race lead as he would get by Jeff Rockefeller for the number 1 spot. Mark Johnson looking to get by Rockefeller in lap traffic as he would continue to chase him down. Then he'd see a lane on the inside, and Johnson would go to the number 2 spot looking to run down the 1F car, who was primed to take his first win of the season at Glen Ridge. Problems would ensue on the 87 of Neil Stratton for the second straight night as that would bring out the caution. And off the restart, Bobby Varon gets a run as he would go past Craig Hansen looking to take the number 3 spot. Hansen would deal right back. Varon now continuing his momentum, trying to run down Mark Johnson and the 1 of Stuart Friesen as Danny Creedon ducks in front of last week's winner Sean Pangman for position. But up at the front, Stuart Friesen continuing to hold on to this one. But wait a second, lap traffic is allowing Mark Johnson to close the gap even more. But it wouldn't be enough as Stuart Friesen takes the win at the Ridge. Mark Johnson would finish in 2nd, Bobby Varon 3rd, Jeff Rockefeller 4th, and Danny Creedon would finish in 5th. The Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprints at the D-shaped Dirt Demon as the cars going down the front stretch 4 wide. What a spectacular sight to see, as it would be Jeff Cook looking to get an early advantage, and Cobra off the drop of the green going a little bit low, trying to snooker everybody. Didn't really work out so well. Mentioning Jeff Cook, he goes to the outside and takes the early race lead as they complete lap number 1 in this one. Chuck Keeping going for 3rd, Dylan Swarnick going to duck underneath, take the number 3 spot away, and now work for spot number 2 off the corner and try to run down Jeff Cook for the number 1 spot. Swarnick having a great run in the early going. Now he'll turn back up to the top side as Jason Barney right there as well. They'll come off of the corner, and Swarnick will take the race lead away from Barney as they continue to run through this event. Barney to the inside now as they run side by side off at turn number 4. Here comes Swarnick. He'd take the race lead, but off the corner, he drift up the racetrack a little bit. That allows racing Jason Barney to dive underneath him. He would hold on and pick up the win in the Empire Super Sprint feature. Steve Poirier finishing 2nd, Paul Kinney 3rd, Larry White 4th, Chuck Ebing would finish in 5th. Other winners on the night in the Sportsman, it would be Corey Barker and Joe Isabel in the Mod Lights.
When we come back, we go back to Malta where the Sportsman track title was oh so tight by the end of the main event, and we visit Glen Ridge again for some fast-paced wheel-to-wheel action. It's all coming up on Race Pro Weekly.
Some of the music you've heard on Race Pro Weekly this week is by AJ Jansen, Country's Rebel Rose, bringing you a mixture of high-energy rock and sultry country roots. To hear more and for your free download, check out ajjansenmusic.com.
Looking for outstanding service for your car, truck, or SUV? Speed's Garage is a family-run business providing the highest quality of auto care. From routine maintenance, brakes, engine, body, or paint work, you can trust the professionals at Speed's Garage. Speed's Garage has all the auto service you need, plus full towing for any vehicle. For a championship service, go to Speed's Garage in Mellonville.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products, race to win. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. A couple of close point battles back at Albany-Saratoga. First in the Pro Stock Division, where Kenny Martin would see trouble early in the event as he would have Walt Brownell hooked onto his left rear. He would get back out and he would close into the 2015 championship, where Brandon Amy would take home the feature event victory. And Kenny Martin with the celebration. Oh boy, you knew this was coming. Anyway, the Sportsman Division, where Rocky Warner was looking to make up 24 points on Derek McGrew to try to pick up the Sportsman Championship win. Jack Swinton would take the early lead as Hunter Bates looking to master his way around the outside lane of the Speedway as McGrew ducks under him. Three-wide battle between Connor Cleveland, Chris Ronca, and John Miller for position as Ronca gets knocked up into the loose stuff. Cleveland trying to bring it around, but he would lose something and go around up in turn number 3, which would bring out the caution flag. A tough break for the 09. Off the restart, Derek McGrew going to get a little out of shape as he'll lose a number of positions down the back straightaway as Rocky Warner continued to push up through the field. Meanwhile, new race leader, the 27 of Robert Bublack, had gone to the front with Scott Dool right behind him in tow, looking to get by Jack Swinton. Dool would get by Swinton for the number 2 spot as Rocky Warner continued to push his way up through the field, doing whatever he could. Another driver making his way up, though, was Jeremy Pitts, who was looking to go back-to-back here in the Sportsman division as he gets by Swinton for second. Meanwhile, the 27 of Pitts now working to the inside of Scott Dool for the race lead. He touched a little bit on the quarter panel off at turn number 4. Rocky Warner following closely right behind him as he looks to get by Pitts for the position, needing every spot he could get. Here's Rocky Warner trying to dive underneath him, but a great crossover move by Jeremy Pitts to keep the number 2 spot as these two veterans of the Sportsman division would battle hard. As now Pitts to the inside of the 14 as Scott Dool for the race lead off at turn number 4, but Dool going to shut the door emphatically going up into turn number 1. Then both drivers try to go 3 wide as Dool gets a little out of shape. Here's Warner on the top, and as Warner tries to make a bid, he loses it a little bit, and Jeremy Pitts sees the opening he needs. He duck underneath and take the race lead away. With about 4 laps to go, the 1J would get by the 14 for the number 2 spot and then have one shot at Jeremy Pitts as Skip Shippey left the lane open, but the door shut quickly. Pitts just too strong out in front as Jeremy Pitts would go back-to-back, leaving Rocky Warner to finish second and losing the point title to Derek McGrew by a small margin. So Pitts picks up the win. Warner would finish in second, Scott Dool third, Tim Hartman Jr. fourth, and Nick Lucier would round out the top 5. Pro Stock feature we showed you earlier would be Brandon Amy, Dan Older, Daniel Sanchez, Robbie Speed, and Jeff Washburn. Other winners on the night, Limited Sportsman will go to Kenny Conroy. Street Stocks, Are You Shocked? Brandy Miller. 4-cylinder single cam to Mike Perotti, and Steve Ryan grabbing the win in the dual cam. John Ruthier and Jay Corbin coming in tied going into the final points night at the Lebanon Valley Speedway as the green flag will come out for the Jimmy Langenback Memorial Feature event as Ricky Duzlak would look to take the race lead from Nick Hill. As here's John Ruthier to the inside trying to make a move. They both slide up the banking. Duzlak trying to go to the inside, trying to keep the spot as they come down the front stretch. Hilt would have the race lead, but Ricky Duzlak with a fast hot rod underneath that 29 machine as they make their way down the back straightaway. And it would be the 29 of Duzlak that would get by him. Hilt trying to hold on to second as John Ruthier and Jay Corbin trying to run side by side right now as they would both get underneath the 17 of Hilt. And now the battle would be on for the points lead as they come down the front stretch and up into turn number 1 and 2. Robbie Speed on the move as he would look to get by Nick Hilt to Stephen LaRochelle, also making his way into the fray of things here. Meanwhile, Corbin would make a move to the inside of Ruthier and take the number 2 spot away as he would look to be well on his way to a championship, but Ruthier wouldn't go down just yet. Frank Twing would be on the move as Ruthier to the inside of Corbin, now trying to grab that number 2 spot back as they both race behind Duzlak for position. They'd single out for just a second, and Ruthier trying to run him down, but Corbin would get away by about another car length down the back straightaway. Then as they come through turn number 2, a car stranded up there, and as they go to slow down for the yellow, John Ruthier spins it around and would have to go to the rear of the field. Off the restart, that sets Corbin into the number 2 spot, trying to run down the 29 of Ricky Duzlak, but nothing would be doing as Duzlak picks up the Jimmy Langenback Memorial. Jay Corbin would finish in second, Chuck Towsley third, Rob Yetman fourth, and Robbie Speed would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night, J.R. Hefner would grab the win in the small blocks, John Virgilio and the King of Dirt Sportsman. Pure Stock winners would be Bill Deek Jr., Jeff Meltz Jr., and Ray Hall Sr. Sportsman action from the ridges. It would be Justin Alspelmeyer and the 21 of Happy Harry Schaefer leading the field to the green, and it would be Schaefer winning the drag race down into turn number 1 and 2. Dave Constantino up to spot number 3 early as Ray Zemkin muscling his way through there, and that may be an understatement as he gets past Donnie Foltz for the number 3 spot. Meanwhile, Chris Ronca going to go hard into the outside wall, not once but twice, gets up riding the outside retaining wall. Oh boy, I'm glad he was all right, as that is one wild ride around the ridge. Off the restart, here's Dave Constantino to the inside. He'd make contact with Justin Alspelmeyer heading up into turn number 1 and 2, sending him around as that would bring out the caution. Off of the restart, here's Harry Schaefer back with the race lead. Constantino fighting for the number 2 spot as Jamike Soule runs with the 9 to Jim Introne, looking to make his way up through the field. Meanwhile, Constantino ducks by Ray Zemkin for the number 2 spot off of turn number 4 as he would try to push to get to race leader Harry Schaefer, as the caution will come out for Eric Mack, having a little bit of debris hanging in a left rear flat. Delaware restart will show Schaefer back out in front as Zemkin gets the jump. Here's Jamike Soule pushing to the outside lane. Brian Pesolano now going to work on Soule on the inside, trying to make something happen. He'd get right back by him as well as they headed down the back straightaway, and something goes amiss on Constantino's car as he will head to the pit area. Schaefer getting the white flag as Soule trying to run down Pesolano for the last time, but it would be happy Harry Schaefer grabbing a win at the Ridge. Harry Schaefer picks up the victory. Ray Zemkin to finish in second. Pesolano will come home third. Jamike Soule fourth, and Billy Gray would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Doug O'Hara grabs the win in the Cruisers. Pro Street Stock would go to Todd Hoffman, and Vinny Visconti grabbing the win in the Slingshots.
It's now time for this week's Berkshire County Network Driver Spotlight with the Hurricane, Steve Payne. Race Pro Weekly is brought to you by Bob Hilbert Sportswear, Racing Electronics, Emmerich Associates, Tranquil Touch Healing, New England Racing Fuels and Sunoco Fuels. Coming up, Fast Eddie goes in the pits with a veteran driver making a return to the driver's seat in 2015, and we'll hand out our NISCA Performer of the Week. Race Pro Weekly will be right back.
I'm Brian from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is my main man Tom and my other main man Tom.
You never know how much junk you've got until you move.
Point to something you wish would disappear.
Would it be possible to... It's gone!
All you have to do is point.
Where have you been all my life?
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. This season, Todd Hoffman has made his return to racing in the Pro Stock division after a few years hiatus, coming back to the Fonda Speedway. Our own Fast Eddie caught up with Hoffman on how his season has gone since the return.
Todd, a recent homecoming for you here at the Fonda Speedway. What made you decide to get back behind the wheel?
Well, a lot of certain things come around. I feel good. Financially, I'm set good. It's been a long time. And this is a really good class to get into, reasonable, and I think we'll do well.
How long were you out of the seat?
Out of the seat since 1993, actual years. You'd have to add it up. But pro stock since 1988.
You're second on the all-time win list behind Kenny Gates. Did that drive some of your decision to come back?
Not really. It was a decision between a sportsman and a pro stock, and the pro stock was a little more feasible.
How different has this been since you've come back? What's changed?
Well, the main thing that's changed is the crate motor. The crate motor is actually less power than we used to have, believe it or not. The cars are real comfortable to drive and real fun. But everybody is so equal. I mean, nobody's going to dominate this class ever, I don't think. Nick Stone's got a pretty good handle on it, but we're on him.
What was it like that first night back out in the car?
Oh, it was a little nerve-wracking. I was not bad, but I was out to lunch, so to speak, but we'll get better.
You're here at the Track of Champions. Any plans to go anywhere else this season?
Oh, I've been running Malta Friday nights. Been doing pretty good there. I like to chase Syracuse if the car's still in one piece, and we'll go from there. Next year will be better.
Who do you need to thank for getting you back on track?
Well, yeah, a bunch of sponsors to thank. It's Hart's Paving, I got Becker's Auto Salvage, Midway Body Shop painted this good-looking car. I've got Grieco's Auto Parts helping me out, Geisler's Plumbing. They actually wired the trailer. You know, it all helps.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week, and with his win at the Super Dirt Series race at Ransomville and his Glen Ridge win on Saturday night, Stuart Friesen is this week's recipient. Friesen is now eligible for the Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Amber Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.